Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Karaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980-8483, 340-9400 or 635-9906.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
To the brunch on Kerr Fatou Live after 1 week, of course, of absence that is in the studio, because last week we were all at the headquarters of the Independent Electoral Commission, where we covered the declaration of results 2021 presidential elections. We are back in the studio, and election is very much part of our topic. But this week too, we will focus on another major development for Gambia and Gambians, of course, and that is sports. To be specific, football, because the Gambia will next month take part in the African Nations Cup for the very first time, to be held in Cameroon. The Gambia is among 24 nations who will play for the prestigious Africa Nations Cup title that will take place there from the 9th right down to the middle of February. So we will talk about that's the preparations, the fundraising campaign, and all whatnot in the second part of the program. This part though, we go back to the elections. Now, President Adama Barrow has been re-elected to serve another 5 years as head of state of the Gambia. The elections took place exactly, I said, 1 week ago, and the president scored over 53% of the votes, as opposed to over 20 for UDP's Ousainou Darboe and the rest of the candidates, including Alhaji or Halifa Abubakar Salah, Essa Fall, Mama Kande, and Abdoulaye Jammeh. Now, with me in the studio to still further look at our perspective of the elections, Essa Njie, a lecturer of political science at the University of the Gambia. Essa, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Lamin.
Right, next to him is Alieu Badara Sowe, is a UK-based Gambian journalist. Alieu, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham.
Good. And our guest in the studio is the victorious NPP spokesman, Lamin Jammeh, who must definitely be in a celebrating mood. Mr. Jammeh, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham and Kerr Fatou.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very
now we will come to the nitty-gritty. Essa, okay. Very quickly, you were at Election House and you observed the election in the process of the voting, as well as maybe you may be opportune to have witnessed counting, but surely you were at the IEC when the results were coming in. Okay, a lot of things have been said about the elections, but very, very quickly, if you want to summarize your perspectives of how did you see the 2021 elections, what are the major things that come out or stand out for you?
Well, thank you very much. I think the 2021 presidential election was unique in a sense that the tension was high approaching the election. A lot of people thought that we'll probably even have post-election violence, you know, because the nature of the campaign, even though it was peaceful, but then the statements that were uttered, especially by political leaders, specifically the incumbent and of course lawyer Darboe of the UDP, the tension was high. People thought that it will turn violent at some point, but we've seen the maturity exercised by Gambians by going out to vote, exercise their constitutional right without any major incident. On election day, I was at the IEC, but also we are part of observers. Even our students at the UTG observed the election, and we've not had reports of major incidents that could threaten the stability of the country. So what we saw was the exercise of maturity by Gambians, and of course, leading to the announcement of the results. Even though when the results were coming in, at some point, there was rumor that some UDP supporters wanted to storm the IEC building. And we saw the police, came with reinforcement to control the place, to secure the place. But we didn't see any such any incident of such. So what we saw was that Gambians exercised their constitutional right maturely. And then at the end of the day, the results were announced, even though the UDP had said it will not accept the results. Probably court proceedings will come, but we've seen that also exercise in maturity, even though there was a bit of pocket of resistance in the streets, especially at Westfield. And we saw the police use tear gas on some of those people, but we have seen the maturity exercised by the leader of the UDP, Ousainou Darboe, by calling on his supporters to remain calm and stay home while they, take the right procedures to make sure that they challenge the election results. Yeah. So that shows the level of maturity. And also we have had the president in his victory speech, even though some thought that it will be, as usual, the president attacking Darboe and all that not. But we have seen it different. He came out, calling on his supporters to also respect the right of his opponents. It was a matured statement, and also when he faced the media, we've also seen that it was a mature interaction between him and the media. So that shows that Gambians are tolerant, even though the tensions can be high sometimes approaching election. Because elections are emotional moments, you know, they can be, sometimes you don't blame people because of what is at stake.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Gambia belongs to all of us, and then I think Gambians have demonstrated that maturely.
Now, let's analyze the results. President Alama Barrow, 53%, and was 20, a little over 20%, almost half of, a little over half of what Barrow has scored. Then you come to Salah, you come to the rest of the candidates. Now, what do you read from the wide margin of victory for the NPP? After all, the NPP was only launched in 2019. And, you know, like everyone knew, their biggest opponent was the party they split from, or at least where Barrow came from, the UDP, which everybody thought had a strong, solid base across the country. You know, but then of course there are what we call advantage of incumbents. So do you think President Barrow was able to mobilize and maximize all the advantages, you know, that comes with incumbency? Is that what helped him to score this margin above the UDP? Or do you think, I mean, is the UDP's acceptance that's now very low among the, you know, among the electorates, or maybe the method of campaign or the perception, you know, the electorates have, you know, of them? So where do you think Mr. Barrow got it right and the UDP got it wrong, if so to speak?
Thank you. I mean, first I must say that a lot of us never saw this coming. Just like a lot of people did not see Jammeh's defeat coming in 2016.
Yes.
I, for one, predicted that for the first time in the political or election history of this country, we will have an incumbent win in less than 40% of the votes. That was my thought. Because we saw the tens, you know, we saw the campaign, you know, especially between the UDP and NPP. Not many people thought that, we knew that one must emerge victorious, either UDP or NPP, but not to this margin. That was why it was shocking to everybody. Just like I said, it was shocking when Jammeh lost the election. So we didn't expect this. But then I came to post-election, I analyzed everything and realized that a lot of factors contributed to this. Incumbency is very advantageous when it comes to elections in Africa. Of course, one of the obstacles to democratic consolidation in Africa has to do with incumbent utilizing or taking advantage of state resources, for instance. I mean, you know, to gather political support. But what we have seen also was that, you know, the issue of ethnic card played a lot in these elections. Even though we can certainly say that it might not have played well as we thought, because we've seen Barrow winning in even Mandinka-dominated settlements, when one would have thought that, okay, if it was really ethnicity, the UDP would have won in those areas. But we've seen Barrow won in those areas. I mean, places like Badibou Gunjur, a Mandinka-dominated settlement, Barrow won there, for instance. And even some constituencies in LRR, when people thought that LRR, of course, is fixed deposit for the UDP. But we have seen in major dominated Wolof and Fuller and Sarahule dominated settlements, we have seen Barrow secured significant, you know, margins there ahead of his opponents. We have seen that contributed to the election. So the ethnic card played a lot, especially the statement by Dembo by Force shortly before the election, that a win for the UDP is like all the other ethnic groups will be sent out of this country. It's a threat to other ethnic groups.
That of course was condemned, and perhaps regretful.
It was condemned, but then it contributed a lot, because the perception was that you talk to some people, even before the election, they tell you that, well, for me, Barrow is not the right man for this job, but UDP is not also. The fear factor, and get back to the point of the fear factor that people have about the UDP, the perception. Because shortly before election, we have also seen how some militants of the UDP behaved. For instance, you boycotted the Fatou network, you boycotted GRTS, you know, campaign, whatever. Do you understand? And also the aggressive nature of some supporters towards some people. So it'd be like, okay, you're not yet in power. Even the president used this. He said, these people are not yet in power. They're doing this. How about if they come to power? And also we have seen, the reason why I said the ethnic card was played very well, even, I mean, months before the election, we have seen the president invited different tribes to step the house, or
inviting
ethnic groups,
people
inviting
in the name of
ethnic
tribes.
groups. Yeah, exactly.
The Serere
community, the Fula community,
community
without inviting the Mandinka community. And that is why I said, I mean, at some point for me, you know, with all honesty, Barrow's victory is a setback for our democracy. In the sense that here is a man who came on a platform. In fact, he should not have had any business in this election. In the first
that's where I think.
So he should not have had any business. He should have organized this election 2 years ago to respect the 3-year mandate, but he did not. He reneged on that promise. Then he came 5 years. He should not have had any business in this. He should have just leveled the playing field for all the other parties to contest without him taking part. Now, reneging on that promise itself is a setback for our democracy, because the very reason why Barrow was voted in 2016 was, once 2016 we restored the democracy, and the next presidential election was to consolidate that democracy. However, he participated in the election. The level playing field is not there, because already he's an incumbent. And once the level playing field is not there in election, then there's a threat to democracy. But the other point also is that the ethnic card still. You see, one of the obstacles to democratic consolidation, scholars like Alex Thompson have highlighted this, ethnic mobilization can be a threat to democracy, because a victory for one is seen as a defeat for the other. Just like Dembo Bifos clearly stated, a victory for the UDP means a victory for the Mandinkas and a defeat for the other tribes. And Dembo Bifos was speaking on behalf, in my view, he was speaking on behalf of Barrow and his government. Like, this is probably the thing that they say. And Dembo was not necessarily speaking on his personal behalf, but he was saying what is in them.
He was national party, national president.
Exactly. So the ethnic mobilization is a threat to democracy. And then we can certainly say that Gambians are more divided today than ever under Adama Barrow, when he's supposed to be a president that will unify the Gambia. But the other threat also to our democratic consolidation is that, you see, Barrow is going to be sworn in again without a term limit. Okay, and now even he promised that he's going to introduce the new constitution, and of course with a term limit. But here is a man who has never fulfilled his promises. He promised us in 2016 reforms, including legal and constitutional, institutional and legal reforms. But these things have never been achieved. So how can we trust him again? But even if he should bring a new constitution, because the draft constitution was rejected in parliament thanks to Barrow and his supporters in parliament. Even if Barrow should bring a new constitution for us now with a term limit, we saw what happened in Guinea. There was no term limit. Conde came, introduced, and then it was removed again. Barrow could come and introduce term limit with a new constitution. But here he will say, look, even these 5 years is not going to be counted. Because remember, it was the retroactive clause in the draft constitution that was responsible for the rejection of the draft constitution in parliament. So he will say these 5 years that I'm counting from 2021 to 2026, he can say it's not going to be counted. Unless he surprised every Gambian to say it's going to be counted. But if that is not counted, meaning he is going for another 10 years. From here, 2026 to 2036, he has that opportunity. And what is going to happen is that he can come again and even put that to a referendum and then remove the term limit again. Who knows? And again, the threat is that our opposition will be weakened now. Barrow is likely to control parliament next parliamentary election. If he should control or dominate parliament, then our opposition will be weakened. We've seen the abysmal performance of GDC in this election. I've seen the abysmal performance of Doi in this election, even though a lot of us thought that Doi would have performed better in this election compared to previous elections. But in fact, because Doi has never secured even 7% of the votes in its history. And now we have seen far less than that. So what is going to happen is that political co-optation is what will exist in the Gambia. And once there is political co-optation, opposition leader, we have seen it even before the election. Most of these independent candidates or some party leaders, in fact, joined Barrow when they were rejected. So what is going to happen is that the tendency of opposition parties abandoning their party, some are going to die. Parties like NRP, PPP are almost dead naturally. APRC might feel the same thing. GDC,
well, we don't know some part of it.
Some part of it. But the executive, the recognized executive, is part of the NPP, and now that the party might die. So we might also have so even UDP, being the strongest opposition party, at some point might lose some of its influential people to the NPP. And once that happens, meaning there will not be any credible opposition again. Alex Thompson said that without credible opposition, there is tendency for self-perpetuating rule. But the final point on still the threat to our democratic consolidation has to do with, making sure that there is that accountability of the government. Because once the oppositions are not credible, there's tendency for self-perpetuating rule. That is, the government, the incumbent in power, can go ahead to co-opt political opposition parties, opposition figures. At the end of the day, you know, it's the advantage of incumbency, the resources that are used. Do you understand? We've seen this even civil society organizations. One observer said that, you know, Barrow was using state resources to campaign, but this was denied by Muhammad Ba. You know, we have seen a new style of politics introduced in Gambia, politics of cooking pot. That, you know, Barrow and his MPP use cooking pot to distribute cooking pot. We've seen this happen in Gambia.
Jammeh is listening intently.
Yeah, and then a lot of money was pumped into this. A lot of money was pumped into this election by the NPP. Certainly, where this money comes from, we cannot say. We cannot certainly say that it's from the state coffers. But it might be private individual sponsored. But the thing is, when you are not there, you're not having this. Now you're there, you're having this. I mean, it raises question. Where are you getting all this money from? So these are the reasons, these and some other reasons are why I said Barrow's victory. Not that I hold any grudge against him. But his victory is a setback for our democracy, because he should not have had any business in this election in the first place.
Thank you.
Okay, Alieu, you, of course, you were based in the United Kingdom, but you've been following every twist and turn of Gambian politics, and luckily you witnessed the actual election on Saturday, and of course the period that led to the declaration of results and after. What's your reflection of this election? What sort of election was it for you?
I think, to be honest, it was a unique election, like my colleague here said. In the sense, I've never seen so much enthusiasm in elections in this country, past what has just gone through. And especially among the women and the youth. You know. Like several factors also contributed, like going back to why I think before I come to this country, I've always had the opinion that Barrow was going to win the election based on the fact there were too many opposition candidates challenging the incumbent.
And they are not united.
And then they're not united themselves. And they had to share amongst them the opposition vote, where Barrow had the pro-government vote. At the same time, he's got a chunk of the APRC with him. He has also the advantage of the incumbency. Obviously, he used the Meet the People tour politically to his advantage. So it wasn't a surprise that he won the way he won. Saying that, I think, like Mr. Njie said earlier, he negated a lot on his promises. The main promise of the coalition 2016 was that whoever was elected was going to be there for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, would not contest the elections. That would have given a level playing field to the parties contesting the elections. Now he negated on that, and he negated on the other most important thing, that he will not contest, which is the main factor. So now it's difficult to believe all these promises he's making. He was the architect of the collapse of the draft constitution. Now to come and say...
Allegedly.
It's all to avoid the two-term presidency. It's very clear to us. Now to tell us that he's gonna bring in this new constitution is a matter of wait and see. But I think the opposition candidates must not see this as a complete defeat. This is, I think, they've got the hardest job ahead of them now, which is to make sure that Barrow does not dominate the legislature. You know, if they can have a majority of opposition in the legislature, they can be holding him to account. I think we'll move forward a lot better.
Okay, before I come to Mr. Jammeh, of course, is the spokesperson for the National People's Party, that's the NPP, and I'm sure you must have listened intently to some of the issues that our gentleman in the studio raised, which you will have an opportunity to address. In my perspective, I agree with you, Essa and Alieu Badara, in some aspects. That is, yes, Mr. Barrow promised not to take part in this election. And when you talk about leveling of the political field, many people, if you say it's not level this time, many people will jump and disagree with you and say, we had a free press, there was no intimidation, there was no harassment, nobody was arrested at political rallies, during and after, etc., etc. But then, of course, they will overlook the massive advantage that incumbency brought about in the elections, which the drafters of the coalition agreement, remember, had in mind when they said our candidate, should he subsequently win the election, will not contest the election that comes after. Because that's the only way they believe that all the players, even those who are not in that coalition, would have an opportunity equal, in the terrain. The incumbent who was leaving, the outgoing one, will not contest will not support any party, will not contest himself. So everybody would have a fresh start. The drafters of the coalition 2016 believe that that's the only way you can achieve 100% leveling of the political ground in the country. Now, Mr. Barrow apparently did not respect that. I mean, everybody would say he has a right, of course, but everybody has a right to do anything as long as it is legal. But then you have morals and standards and promises to keep. So that's the only difference there. So I agree that if Mr. Barrow had not taken part, perhaps we would have seen a lot more level field, less polarization of the people, perhaps. Of course, every election will divide people, but then, of course, not to this extent, like you said. Of course, I do not want to believe too much of ethnic card, even though it is there. African elections are hardly devoid of ethnic considerations. That's a problem. In fact, it's bigger a problem in East, Central, and other parts of Africa, where it in fact lead to conflicts. But we have always had that. Every ethnic group, one way or the other, wants the presidency to come from them or to be close to them. That's the Africans' way. Sadibou Jawara handled it very well in the First Republic. I mean, at the time there was colonialists versus the protectorates. Of course, at the time the protectorate, there was no consideration like Jola or Mandinka. Once you are from the protectorate, well, you are naturally for the people from the protectorate. While the colony, the Banjul and others, were the people against. But then, when he came to power, tribal sentiments came up. But Jawara managed to handle it so well that we didn't have a problem like that. You and I, when we were growing up, in the villages, in the towns, we don't even know who is who. You just go and meet, the language that is spoken there widely, that's the language we all speak and go. Nobody knows who owns this language, or who is Mr. X, who is Baji, who is Kamara. Nobody cares. It's just, so that is what now, politics is now really damaging in our societies. And it is the politicians, actually, who can correct this by really issuing the correct message, issue-based politics, so that people can really think and embrace ideas that cut across ethnic lines. So overall, I agree that if Mr. Barrow didn't contest these elections, we would have seen a different scenario. But you people did not talk about, and we'll come to that after Mr. Jammeh had this. That is, I said, what went wrong with the opposition? Of course, Alieu, you tried. You said, one, their votes were split. They refused to unite. That would have given them a big advantage to take a lot. But is it also that the main opposition, the UDP, who's been around for long, what did they get wrong? Is it Mr. Dabo's own charisma, credibility, or is it that, how to call it, Jammeh's time, we have that, Jammeh's time, he spent a long time damaging the reputation of the UDP and questioning the opinion of, his supporters about the UDP. Is that a continuation we've seen?
I want to come to that, especially just before Mr. Jammeh.
Yes. Mr. Jammeh, Mr. Jammeh has a lot of things.
Yeah, you have a lot of things to say.
So don't worry.
I would rather suggest that you give him the chance to respond to that.
Okay, Ali, now.
Okay.
Because
do you think the UDP, what did they get wrong? Mr. Dawa had been there for 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
He's been competing. In other democracies, or in fact in many other countries, you would have, or organizers, they would have said, okay, listen, maybe it's the personality that is not sailing our party. Let's have a change, so that we can, try our luck again with another person who may have greater charisma, perhaps more or better messaging, or let's say more opportunities to get acceptance than this man. So people change, evolve, parties change leadership. We haven't seen that in Doi, we haven't seen that in so much of that in Doi and UDP. Don't you think this also had a role to play in their defeat?
I think, to be fair, the NPP did run a very effective campaign. Whereas, I think the Dabo camp, we were too overconfident. They were too laid back, assuming some constituencies like in the Sadibou and, that are, they already, won there.
Yeah.
When the NPP did not take any chances, they campaigned to the end, and I think the NPP, I haven't proved for this, but I think used misinformation as well to get the protest vote, where people don't support Barrow, but they would rather vote for him than get Dabo in president. And this message filtered through the people. And it's like people like Dembo by force, when they come out with comments like that, give sentiments to people. Well, if Dabo wins, then we're in trouble. If we're going to be sent out of this country. And then the mostly illiterate, which is a high percentage of the population, would just think, well, we would rather have Barrow there than have somebody who's going to come and kick us out of the country. But I don't think it's really had to do with Dabo's personality.
Okay, Mr. Jammeh, first of all, congratulations. You've had all the concerns and the expressions here. The other thing I didn't hear them say, and another factor that the opposition are alleging, is that not only did your party misinform the people, but you engaged in rigging the elections by registering secretly and quietly a lot of non-Gambians and spreading them across the constituencies in the country. That explains the large margin you got. That's the other one they didn't say, but that's what I had. So now you have tons of questions to answer. The ball is in your court.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Cham. And I thank
Mr.
my
Sowe and Njie.
colleagues, Mr. Sowe and Mr. Njie. And of course, I thank you, Mr. Cham, and Kerr Fatou.
Thank you
for having me in this program. Before going to what you have just raised, allow me, first of all, to congratulate all Gambians.
Indeed.
For the victory that we have earned in the recently concluded presidential election. By the same token, I want to specifically congratulate the NPP and the Grand Alliance for having won the election with the margin that we have won. So to the leadership of the NPP, and by extension to all the alliance partners, I congratulate everyone, and I say to everybody, thank you for a job well done. I am thanking and congratulating Gambians because of the high level of maturity that I saw exhibited in these elections. We will all remember that the campaign really was tough. It was tense. Some people went into war of words. Of course, this is better than going into war of bullets. It was really a very tense campaign. But one thing that every observer can learn is that majority of Gambians are sober. Majority of Gambians are mature in their political dispensation. To the extent that despite the crowds that you could have seen following the NPP trail, as well as the other parties, but we will accept at the minimum that there were greater numbers in the homes, in the houses, than we could have seen in the streets. These numbers that were in the houses were sober Gambians who were politically very mature and they knew what they wanted for, what they were looking for. And these were the people who quietly, silently, maturely came out on election day to exercise their fundamental constitutional right to select a leader. This may be given variable interpretations depending on where one stands. But then, out of this, another thing that we can learn is that to be a political actor, a player in the Gambian politics, requires that you understand that the Gambian people really need peace in their land. That, in my opinion, peace, the priority of peace is the topmost priority that every Gambian had ranked topmost above all other things, above all other considerations. That it was this peace that they saw in the leadership of the NPP, in President Barrow. That was why he was entrusted the confidence of the people. He was entrusted the votes. He was entrusted the mandate to come back in a renewed form. To react a little to what Mr. Njie had said and described as tribal bias, that groups had visited the State House upon the invitation of the President. There were several ethnic groupings.
In the name of ethnic groups.
In the name of ethnic groups.
Yes, not carpenters visit,
yes.
Or masons visit,
I think,
fishermen visit,
yes, I think,
Sarabules, Wolof, Serer.
yes, I think one gap that Mr. Njie probably does not know is that it is not necessarily the President inviting these people to come. No. Rather, it was the reverse. It was the people in their organizations that individually will request forum with the President. I know this because latest among the groups that went there was the Serer group. And I knew about the organization of the Serer and the request that they, in fact, the request was made many months ago. It was only recently that they succeeded in getting approval to have a forum with the President. So, saying that the President, as if it was the making of the President to be inviting ethnic groups by turn is wrong.
But didn't have a responsibility as the head of state to say, well, you know, this is going to send the wrong signal. If I'm going to receive you, I can say West Coast leaders, like he did with others. LRR readers.
No, I don't think.
URR readers.
Mr. Cham,
if you want to come to me.
No, I'm saying.
Or you think he doesn't have any responsibility?
No, I'm saying that concept, in my opinion, is wrong.
Okay.
It is the Constitution of the Gambia which guarantees freedom of association.
Yes.
So once the people are free to be associated to each other in any form, it's their fundamental right. You cannot say you cannot be organized in this form.
No, but the Constitution said you cannot organize political forums along tribal lines.
No.
And when they came there,
I'm not saying.
You will not deny the fact when they came there, principle in their message was political.
No.
We are following you.
Mr. Cham.
We had
Mr. Cham. I want to make the correction that instead of seeing it as an invitation for a presidency to the ethnic groups,
the people
it was rather the people upon whose request approvals were made for them to come and meet the President.
Good.
And if the people are right, as guaranteed by the Constitution, to be organized the way they are organized, in their organizations, they have the right to be seen by the President.
Correct.
All right?
Yeah.
That is another thing. The other thing I think I want to make is that I see it as a way of retracking, taking us to the back. If we want to bring in the idea of 3 years Jotna, the ideas of the coalition 2016, that is going to retract us, and I think it will downplay the value of the precious time we have. All right? Rather, in my opinion, we should be forward-looking. Yes. I had a program with you on the same brunch program the other time when you said critics were saying that people like myself and Suku Singate did not have any influence in the communities where we are.
Yes, that you cross-cap.
And that our going to the NPP would not mean anything or wouldn't change the game rule. Wasn't it so?
Yes.
All right.
It was said.
I told you clearly that the NPP is relatively very young in the Gambia. But as we were speaking at that time, all the requisite structures of the NPP were ready and they were formed. I told you that these are the political organs, these are the political machineries that are required to be put up with their functions attached to them. So that once these structures are functioning, without doubt, they must pay dividend to the organization. If you ask today, why has the NPP succeeded the way it has? I will tell you, firstly, that the organizational structure of the NPP guarantees to a very high degree success.
Okay.
That these structures were formed, and specifically on that day I said, it is now our responsibility to find out how functional or dysfunctional the structures that are said to have been formed are. So that once it is discovered that a particular structure somewhere is properly not functioning, it becomes duty bound on us to ensure that something is done about it. All conditions constant, if you have your target, you have your organization, you have your equipment, and you put them to work, there must be dividend paid.
Okay.
And this is one reason why I am saying the NPP has done what it has done.
What do you say? You didn't address the criticisms that you used. Critics said it, not Lamin Cham. Because I've been talking to, like I said, when I talked to the NPP, they told me exactly what you have done. That the party had gone to work, did its homework perfectly, was able to embrace all the masses to their platform because of solid programs which projected the love for peace, unity, reconciliation, etc.
Okay.
When you talk to the opposition, some of them, because obviously you could see they were not saying much because they said they are investigating allegations or whatever.
Okay.
But they said, which of course take us back to the electoral laws in the country, that once you didn't want to go back to the 3 years journal, but you cannot, the 3 years promise, I don't want to be 3 years journal, but the one-time promise of the president, because it is important, it is what led to this process. Once the government began not interested in stopping as a transitional government, then it found it difficult to implement the reforms that would have given us a credible election, a lot more progressive legislation in the terms of the constitution. So once the government became interested in clinging onto power, it effectively threw out all these reform programs because it would not shoot its ambition. One of them is the electoral laws, which were supposed to be changed under the draft constitution, which would have enabled or empowered the IEC, for example, to independently conduct registration to determine who are legible Gambians. In the absence of that, we had problems with attestation with Alkalolu. We said that this system can be subject to abuse, particularly by all the parties, but particularly the incumbents, by getting people registered who are non-Gambians. I told you, the other allegation they are saying is that your party
registered non-Gambians
brought in a lot of non-Gambians, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Senegal, and quietly spread them, float them in the register across the country. That explains this excessive number of votes.
Okay.
That is their allegation, not mine.
Yes,
so
Mr. Cham.
Is that true or false?
Mr. Cham, this is not true and it cannot be true.
Okay, how?
Reflecting on the days of the registration in this country, some of the popular noise that we had was that the UDP had prepared or had a special group they call Black, I don't know.
They call them junglers. Some opposition call, their opponents say they are junglers.
Who were going
Around.
from one registration center to the other, attacking people on the queue for why they have been standing there, because in their view, those were not qualified Gambians to be registered. This was one of the most popular noise we had at the time. It is not, I think what is important is to depend on the application of the law to bring about judgment in all disputes.
Exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you that the junglers, or whatever they are called, black, whichever organization might have felt that the NPP had played foul, had all the entitlements, the opportunity, the revising course,
to initiate actions in the revising course, for decisions to be taken.
Exactly.
Why
didn't they do that?
Why didn't they do it?
Exactly.
All right?
Yes.
So if at this material time, after the failure, they want to bank on that, you are only creating laughter for the people.
That is why I said for a neutral observer.
Okay.
For a neutral observer.
Yes.
This excuse that is coming from some quarters.
It's unacceptable.
No, listen. They may be even right. But the issue, like you said, the crux of the matter is what you have addressed. What stopped them from coming to challenge these things? But what we are saying as neutrals, we are interested in free and fair process. We are saying that if at all the new constitution had been put in place, these issues wouldn't have arisen.
Yes.
Because listen, it would have been the IEC and not Al-Kalolu or Sefolu who, like it was before. You know, it was Ministry of Local Government, but then the registration authority had the power to determine any claimant's right to have a voter's card or not. Yaya Jammeh changed this to his advantage. Under you were APRs, you knew very well about that.
Yes, but
listen, when Jammeh changed
I want to disagree.
I'm coming to the point.
Let me show my disagreement.
Yes.
If you say it was Yaya Jammeh who had changed this to his advantage, I want to disagree.
Okay, why? How?
Because in the history of the Gambia, it was the first time ever to have an independent electoral commission.
Yes.
How could one be a player at the same time a referee?
Yes. No. But
a government is a player in politics.
Yes.
If you make one organ of government to be the referee in that same game, how unfair would that be?
But if I give...
So it was a great improvement we had
if I give
when the IEC was set up
but
in the form of the provisional...
But if I give you powers and your independence just by the name and disarm your independence...
No. I'm saying coming to the neutrality and the democrat nature of President Barrow.
Well.
One thing I saw in him was the first time ever from the days of Jawara to Yaya Jammeh up to now. As incumbent, when he was coming on the presidential campaign tour, not even himself had used government vehicle to come on the campaign. It was rather our party vehicle, NPP 1 and 2, that he had been using in the campaign for the first time in the history of the Gambia.
Okay. Fast.
That didn't negate the fact he used the people's tour, which is government.
The tour before that.
That was a tour before.
Yes.
That was a campaign.
I just wanted to say something here. Okay, with regards to...
I want Mr. Jammeh to have more time.
Okay. But we have opportunity to There are a few things that I want to address. I mean, that's a great improvement. Having the president use use party vehicle instead of the government vehicle. We have not seen that. But then I just wanted to say, for the purpose of transparency, in a democracy where there's democratic accountability, we're not only interested in saying that the president used party vehicle. We're interested also, how did the president acquire this? Because that's not clear to us. It could have been state resources. It could have been a private individual. So if that is not clear...
Well, he did say about one car that it was given to him.
No, that was one car when he was going to Macau.
That was one wagon. He said that himself.
We are talking about MPP 1 and 2. But then, here I just wanted to respond to something. Very clear. I agree entirely with him that the UDP and other opposition parties could have gone to the revising court to challenge it. But then, like you said, as people that are interested in fair, free, transparent election, we expected that if these things had happened, they should not have happened. You understand? That's one thing. You see, the issue of invitation, I think Mr. Jammeh is looking at the literal meaning of invitation here. You see, here, I said, Cham, I want to come to your brunch, and you accept. You've invited me to Kerr Fatou.
Absolutely.
You understand? It's not for you to write to me officially to say, Essa, I want you to come on Kerr Fatou. If I say I want to come and appear on Kerr Fatou, and you accept, meaning you invited me to Kerr Fatou. So if the president, who's supposed to be a unifier, is accepting people that associate themselves or group themselves on ethnic grounds, and we see this is a fact. We cannot deny this. Politicians use this for political expediency.
Absolutely.
And that would be just for that. We cannot deny that fact. Just because the Sise community or the Fuller community wrote officially to say, we want to have an audience with you, why would you accept them as a serial community? And we have seen Hamad Bar in State House, in the presence of the president, said that the Fullers, if you want to survive in this country, that was when the Fuller community visited him. If you want to survive in this country, vote for Adama Barrow. So we can I'm coming. We cannot negate that fact. That is a fact, and we have to accept it. The ethnic card played a lot in this election. Now, the other point is that, you see, the reason why getting back to my point of why I think Barrow's victory is a major setback for our democracy. One of the conditions necessary for democracy, because 2016, we fought to restore democracy in the Gambia. And the drafters of the coalition idea or whatever, we are looking forward that the next election will be an opportunity for us to consolidate our democratic gains. This was the idea. That's why they talked about system change. Now, when Barrow came, not to contest that, and now what we're going to have is that it will be difficult for us to have turnover of government. As Samuel Huntington highlighted, one of the conditions for democratic consolidation is that we must have a turnover of government, a two-turn of government. We have had it in Senegal. Abdou Diouf was removed by one. One removed by Macky Sall. Now in the Gambia, 2016, we were able to use the ballot box to remove Jammeh. 2021, if Barrow had not contested, it will be an opportunity to change government again. But now Barrow coming to power, entrenching himself in power, we are saying that he will control parliament likely. And once that happens, he's going to dominate the political landscape. We are having on the Jawara dominant party system, although multi-party system, but within it we have dominant party system. Exactly, PPP. We came to Jammeh era, APRC continued. And it's the same thing that is coming again. Once that happens, it will be difficult for us to remove Barrow in 2026 through elections. We may not remove him in 2031 through elections, and the only time is 2036. So that will be self-entrenchment. And this is why, for instance, Halifa Salam, the drafters of the 2016 coalition Omayu, what they were looking for, what they were fighting against is self-perpetuating rule. And that is what is coming back. So that's why for me I said, I don't have any grudges against Barrow. But I am saying that his victory is a major setback for our democracy.
But Mr. Njie, you will bear me witness that based on that ideology, it was based on that ideology that Halifa had toward the length and breadth of this country in the name of DOI as a political organization. And Gambians have responded to him and to others. And you have seen what the response had been. That would take us back to Plato to accept that, the virtues of a society is mainly controlled by the people. Okay? The virtues of a state depends on the virtues of our citizenry. Where the people are thinking this way, if a few people think differently, they will go differently and leave the masses.
I see.
That is the point. All right. Okay. Next, let me just say this. On elections, they said the election results UDP is arguing that they are not going to accept.
Rejecting it, said they are going to investigate.
Yes. It appears to me that a good number of Gambians do not even know the processes that election passes through, the vote, the different stages of vote processing. It appears to me that many people don't know it. Other than the registration, which was clear, on election day, the voter goes to the polling booth and cast his vote. Let us assume that it is here. Where is this place here?
Let's say it's sedimentary.
Sedimentary. Yes, but I want the locality.
Tranquil, yes.
Tranquil. If there is a polling station here, that polling station at the time of counting would change into a counting center.
Yes.
Every party representatives would have been present. They would, at the commencement of the process, open all the
yes.
we all know, and show everybody.
Yeah.
After this, the counting is done. The boxes are still shown to the people. They are counted.
The counting is done. The agents sign. The result is
agents
spaced.
confirm and witness that this is what had been available here.
I think we agree to that. What we're saying is that, you see, the UDP or any other party, aggrieved party, has the right to challenge the results.
You see,
now we can question.
Let me tell you where you are going. You see, the thing is, that is why a lot of Gambians are waiting and wondering
what UDP will
come out.
Exactly.
Because of exactly what you are saying.
That's what we are saying.
We are agreeing to that.
Okay.
That's why we are saying, if the UDP could come out with anything different, then it would be a total surprise to people, just as any other thing. Because we look at the process. We said in the Gambia, you cannot rig elections on election day.
You cannot.
Or if they said they have seen irregularities, it will only amount to only one thing, that agents of their own agents or electoral organizing body compromise themselves, which is very unlikely, highly unlikely. That's why a lot of people are waiting and wondering what this. And we are not only UDP, because even GDC, Jammeh faction of the APRC are also not contesting. So that's why everybody is waiting.
Jammeh faction, yes.
Jammeh faction of the APRC. In fact, what I want now is to move on and ask Mr. Jammeh. Now that you have won and you are going to form government, how are you going to accommodate all these people you have come entice to your side, like the APRC, Jammeh faction? I cannot say the unaccountable independent only. That's some people criticize us briefcase politicians. You have brought all together. How influential do you think APRC would be in the next government of your party?
Yes.
Of course, you are not Adama Barrow. Who has the power?
Yes, this is, in fact, it is just reminding me of the workable nature of the machinery that President Barrow was able to put up.
Okay.
That he succeeded in putting all the stakeholders of the past, APRC, former governors and MPs, forming associations, prominent politicians everywhere, beginning from Serekunda right down to Basse. You would see that President Barrow had succeeded in bringing all the old players together in his team to prove again that in every locality, people command different levels of influence.
Yeah, you said it. Oh, yeah.
And because of these high-level people of influence, President Barrow undoubtedly was able to have the way we have. Going to the National Assembly elections, your fear and the fear of Mr. Njie, eminently it will come. I'm afraid there is little to stop your fear from. Because the next target is not only aiming at getting a 2/3 majority of the membership in the National Assembly, but probably getting 90% of the members.
Are you interested in democracy?
Very well.
Are you interested in getting a parliament?
People-driven democracy.
Yeah.
And see, my democracy.
Yeah, I'm coming. Are you interested in
Remember, he comes from the APRC.
Yeah, I am coming. Are you interested in having a parliament that will hold the president to account, even if they are from the same party?
Of course.
That was
Okay,
impossible.
that
was impossible on the
I wanted
Jammeh.
to say something.
Yes, I'm saying differential party membership does not negate that responsibility.
Well, that was impossible on the Jammeh.
No,
of course it was impossible on the Jammeh.
I'm saying, don't take us back to the days of Jammeh. You and I know that the
if you're interested in democracy, getting people who really will hold the government to account, I think also you will have to be mindful of the people that you bring in parliament. And to be honest with you, the caliber of people, especially, no insult, okay, or no offense, but the caliber of people, especially your parliamentarian in Nyamina West, these are people, to be honest, who don't really understand issues, who cannot hold the president to account. And my fear is that it's not only that the NPP or Barrow will dominate parliament, but dominate parliament with people who do not understand issues, who will not hold the president to account. Because if they do not understand issues, they can even hold him to account.
Who are the best people to go to parliament in your view?
You see, specifically, these are people who understand issues. And when we say people who understand issues, it might be interpreted differently.
Okay.
Some will say, okay, your education level must be to at least at a certain level that for you to be able to understand issues. Okay. But then even looking at our constitution, and that is why it goes back to the point, it's very sad that December 4, 2021, Gambians voted using the 1997 constitution. Thanks to President Barrow. Gambians voted using the old electoral law. Thanks to President Barrow. And the 1997 constitution, looking at it, even the qualification to be in parliament, is problematic. The only thing it says that to be able to speak and understand English. And now we have parliamentarians who cannot even, you see, parliament for me, I consider it the most important organ of government. More important even the executive. These are the people who make laws. These are the people who sign or ratify treaties for the Gambia. They're the people responsible for your education, your health and everything. Now, if these people cannot even read and understand simple policy documents, how do you expect them to hold the government to account? This is problematic.
Alieu.
I wanted to respond quickly.
Yes, but Mr.
We're wrapping up.
Let me put this to you.
We're wrapping up, Mr.
You see, in every process one finds himself, there are basic criteria that are to be respected. Imagine if you were a political leader, leader of a political party in the Gambia, and your party was to go to elections in the National Assembly. Your selection of candidates, paramount in importance, is forced to consider a winnable candidate. Yes.
So not someone with substance.
It is not Mr. Njie who has an MA in political science.
No, not necessarily.
Who would be rejected by his people in the constituency that you are going to put up, because if you put him up, you are not only wasting time, but you are also wasting resources.
Don't you think also sometimes some of these parties do this deliberate by getting people that they manipulate?
I'm saying,
moving on now.
the consideration of every political organization and political leaders is to put up people in elections that are winnable.
That they can manipulate.
I think I have reservations.
It is not.
Finally, Mr. Let's go, Mr. Jammeh.
Yes.
I ask you, you've tried it. Finally,
Okay.
what sort of NPP and the government, by extension, are you expecting as part of your political messaging into the campaign?
Yes.
Are we going to have a lot more tolerant President Barrow, or we are going to have a dictator after elections? What do you think?
Once people are nurtured and nurtured up to the level of President Barrow, hardly can they change. All right? We must make distinction from what is the organization's interest and what is the national interest. Once this distinction is made, we must understand that the clear path is to give national consideration to every issue.
Okay.
In my view, having interacted with President Barrow at long range and close range, wallahi, I see him as a true democrat who respects people and their views very well.
So we're going to see an even more glorified.
So is he not going to ban political activities?
An even more glorified.
he said he's going to stop political activities after December 4th.
No.
Lamin Cham, he said that.
That could have been either a slip of the tongue.
Oh, a slip of the tongue.
Yes. Or it could have been an issue given variable interpretations by
No. I think he does not understand politics. Because he said politics will stop. I don't know what he mean by politics will stop.
If I understand you said we are going to. You promised.
Variable interpretations are given to it.
That's very clear. He said it clearly. That he's going to stop political
let's allow him to wrap up.
Before you know that it is clear, subject the term political activity to yourself, to different levels of people, and see what they would digest out of it.
Very good. Yes. So, according to Mr. Jammeh, we are even going to see an even more glorified democracy under President Barrow. He will be tolerant, he will be accommodative, and his messaging will be the same, one of unifying the country. Yeah. Very quickly, Alieu, you agree with that?
Well, I have an issue about this. What I want to say is, we talked about you don't have to have a degree in English or to be a parliamentarian. I think our parliamentarians should be even able to speak the local language in parliament for their constituents to understand, because a majority of the population of the Gambia are illiterate.
And,
they don't have to speak English.
I have seen President Barrow.
It works in Senegal.
Very good politician
it can work
when he
here.
speaks the local language.
No, you see,
yes.
And it's true there.
Yeah, some parliamentarians will be more effective if they are allowed to speak the local language in parliament rather than English. I don't know why we have to be too much focused on English. And when talking about President Barrow, to be fair to him, saying he's going to ban politics, I think that comment was taken out of context.
Thank you.
Don't think he definitely means he's going to stop politics in this country. It's taken out of context.
Perhaps he was praised and there was
also a problem of Mr. Jammeh is taking people from the old guards from all over the place. But we've noticed he's taking also people who've invested their money in his party, who adversely mentioned in the TRRC investigations. How will he now reconcile appeasing those people without negating the justice.
Request for justice.
Request for justice by TRRC.
Yes, quickly. You see,
very quickly.
The issue
what sort of President Barrow are you expecting?
Quickly, the issue of English. You see, I appreciate the idea of parliamentarians speaking local language in parliament. I have no problem with that. But see, if we want to get to that, to say, let them speak, we have to also get back to the documents. Okay? What language are we using to write the job? How can they even speak in their local language to get their people understand when they don't even understand the document that is written in English? So we must start from there. So that's one thing. That's one thing. That's not important. For me, they can even speak.
Essential. We know.
They can speak their local language. I have no problem with that. But provided that they understand what is written. Now, you see, you ask a question here, very important. What happened with Dabo and all that. I think also it somehow had to do with personality issue. I mean, especially the inconsistency we have seen. Him, like, saying the five years now coming to 3 years, talking about the teacher strike now coming to say that. So at some point, some people.
That inconsistency in who?
I mean, in Dabo. I'm not talking about Barrow. Okay. I know you'll not be happy when I say Barrow. Barrow, for him, the inconsistency is clearly out there. He is more inconsistent.
So
I see President Barrow. You ask a question.
Yeah, that's right.
I see President Barrow as a leader, what he has manifested so far for the past 5 years. I will not be able to say what he will be in the next 5 years, but I see him as an inconsistent politician who is a certified betrayer, who will say this today and say this tomorrow. Remember, he said in one of his interviews, during campaign you can say all sort of things, but when you are in power, it's different. So finally,
also not taken out of context.
Finally, I will say, Mr. Cham, finally, he said he raised a very important point. For us to be able to consolidate our democratic gains, the opposition now have a bigger job to do.
Yes.
They should not allow the incumbent to control parliament. And they need to tighten their belt to make sure that they contest the National Assembly election to prevent Barrow from that. Because if he controls the National Assembly, then we are doomed. It's not only, see, I have no grudges against the NPP over.
Yes,
But my concern is how do we ensure democratic accountability in the Gambia?
Mr.
And
Njie,
if we
Mr.
because
Njie.
what we have seen, finally,
but this is
just
not
let me
electoral.
land.
I'm sorry,
Let me land.
I'll give the floor.
Let me land.
so
What
you.
we are saying is that we have seen the style of politics Barrow has played in this election, even trying to misinform people when it comes to development projects. The classrooms that you talk about, 3,000 classrooms, these are MRC Holland projects. These are not president's projects. The $3,000 that are given to households, these are not the government projects. These are World Bank projects. You know, coming to the issue of alcalos promising them of salary, even though somebody told me that that's in the local government act. But why now? Why now? And coming to fake people, giving them ambulances when 5 years you have never visited any hospital in this country. Do not have their problems in the country. Now, because few months to election or few weeks to election, you start distributing ambulances. So what we are seeing is that Barrow is a type of leader who will come and say this and then fail in delivering his promises. Only before election, shortly before election, he will come and fulfill some of those promises. So he is an inconsistent leader in the view of Essa.
Thank you very much, Mr.
You agree?
Njie.
Of course, you naturally don't agree.
No. I'm saying I do not agree with him. Absolutely.
Not even
rather,
No.
not partly. Absolutely.
Finally, we are on the final.
I see Barrow as a Democrat one. He may have his imperfections as a human being.
He has.
Like every other human being has.
Indeed.
Even he who is criticizing Barrow.
Like myself.
Has a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you were subject to that criticism, probably it would have been worse.
Worse. Your inadequacies would have been.
But Barrow I respect him because he principally believes in the rule of law.
Absolutely.
That the law in any dispute must rule. And he respects the verdict of the courts.
Okay.
And he is somebody who is development focused, who has brought a lot of development. If you are talking about building of classrooms not associated, not things that could have been claimed as merits on President Barrow and the NPP, I don't know who else you would give it to.
Maybe to the Holland Gambia.
Because it is in the same
Holland
context.
right.
It is in the same context that people are complaining about skyrocketing prices in the market.
Yeah.
If you don't want to give the merit to President Barrow,
These are different.
You cannot blame him.
These are different, Mr. Jam.
Thank you very
this
much.
and a lot more are there.
Right.
And finally,
Yeah.
I would appeal to every Gambian
It's important.
to understand that presidential election is over
Yes, indeed.
and we have only one leader. The leader is
We
President.
can only have one at a
We
time.
can only have one at any time.
At a time, yes.
And the leader is President Barrow. You see, the way there is a relationship between president and every citizen. But let us not be taken by temperament. Let us not be taken by emotions to the degree of treating our leader in a manner that is uncalled for,
Yeah, that's true.
in private or in public. And remember that, yes, the leader is there trying his best, but he is as imperfect as a human being.
Fantastic.
But what we have seen is that he is the best performing leader that the Gambia ever had.
Oh, really?
Thank you very much. Lamin Jammeh is the spokesperson for the National People's Party, the NPP, which swept the polls in last week's presidential election, giving its leader, Adama Barrow, a fresh mandate. And according to Mr. Jammeh, we are going to see an even more glorified democracy going to 2026. Essa Njie, lecturer, political science at the University of Gambia, member of the Civic Society organizations. Thank you very much. Alieu Badara Sowe, Gambian journalist based in the United Kingdom. Thank you very much. I hope you are enjoying your stay. You came at a time
indeed,
when everybody was busy with elections.
Enjoy the weather as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being on the brunch. We will continue with a look at another very important endeavor in Gambia at the moment. That is our preparations to go to the Africa Nations Cup in Cameroon for the very first time. We will catch up with the National Coordinating Committee organizing the preparations. That's after we come back after this break.
For all your pastry, bakery, and quality food, Sise Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At Sise Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? Njie Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on Njie Investments. Njie Investments, we are first in properties.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Welcome back to the Brunch, live on Kerr Fatou. I'm Lamin Cham. Now, we turn our attention to sports, and specifically football. The Gambia will be making her maiden appearance in the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon, beginning on the 9th. Now, in the build-up to the event, the Gambia has put up a national coordination committee responsible for raising funds and putting together all other logistics to ensure that the country participate effectively in this important event. With me in the studio are members of that National Coordination Committee, and we also have a veteran, or let me call it veteran, a former Gambian international footballer, Tijan Jaiteh, who is a goodwill ambassador for sports in the Gambia. And in this half an hour, 45 minutes, we will talk about the preparations and what you over there watching us can do to take part and participate in ensuring that we are well prepared. Musa Sise is the spokesperson for the NCC. Sadibou Kamaso is a member, he's also an executive member of the Gambian Football Federation. Ida Ba, who is also communications officer at the Sports Council, is also a member of the NCC. And like I said, Tijan Jaiteh, Goodwill Sports Ambassador and former Gambian international footballer, are all here. Welcome, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay, let me start with the spokesperson. You know, we have only about 4 weeks exactly before the tournament starts. Where are we as Gambia? How are our preparations right now? I remember we said we needed $117 million. How far have we gone in putting that together? And I also want to know how people can take part, participate in the fundraising and all that.
Thank you, Cham. You've almost set the tone of this program completely, because all about where are we and how are we. That's what discussing. That's the most important thing that I think the Gambian public and all those following us at the moment wants to know. We're not close to wherever we want to be, desired to be, an ideal situation. We're not yet there. Yeah. But notwithstanding, we cannot help not continuing to drum the support that we need to make so that the necessary funds are available. We're not close. Sadibou will give you the figures after, and that is why we cannot relent. We just have to keep pushing, keep spreading the gospel, making every single individual Gambian aware of what's happening, just as the manner in which they knew or were wait to know the day we qualified. It is that very same euphoria. The Gambia would kick off her campaign on the 12th, exactly 4 weeks to go.
12th January, first March.
Yeah. There we go, today being the 11th. Yeah. So that being the case, we have this mammoth task of raising this huge amount of money as the public's contribution in taking ownership of the national team. People will talk about government, fine, but we believe that the national team belongs to us, belongs to government, belongs to you, belongs to me. And that is why we are here today. Where have we gone? What have we done? Preparations underway, departure for the Pacific final training camp, also planned home visits, handing over the national flag or the battle flag to the captain, all in place. But just to lay bare where
we'll come back to you for those details. Sadibou, yes, we want to know so far how much money have we raised and from where?
Thank you, Lamin. It's good to be here once again. It's always a pleasure. Yes, as we've been crisscrossing across the Greater Banjul area at all these media houses and trying to get to people to explain the need for the amount of contribution we're looking for. So far, as you've already said, the NCC is looking for $117 million. Some people say that's a lot of money, and it's not a lot of money. When we go watch football, we realize they're buying players for 100 million. A team is buying a player for 100 million. So if a nation is asking for $117 million, is not euros, then it's not a lot of money. But then again, out of the $117 million that we're looking for, we've so far made $9,272,700.
Long way.
That's it.
I don't want to use the word.
Well, like they would say, it's as wide as the Grand Canyon. Because so far the first person who actually contributed, who donated, was His Excellency the President. We want to thank him again, as we've been doing, but we cannot go without expressing our sincere gratitude to him, because as the chief patron of the Gambian Football Federation, he was the first person who pledged to give 500,000 during the inauguration of the NCC. But when the budget was taken to him, he looked at it, he realized there's a huge amount of money needed. He added an extra 500,000 and he gave us $20,000 in cash. So he was the first to come forward. AfriCell also came forward. Nobody went to them. They didn't wait for anybody to approach them. They came with $8 million, a whopping $8 million, to say this is what we have for the NCC. So that is $9 million there. Vista Bank also gave us $250,000, former FI Bank, and then Malik Mendy Tailoring gave us 10,000. Yesterday we had another person who made he didn't pledge. He deposited in the account 5,000, and during our telethon at the GRTS the other day, we made 7,700, on air. So that's what we have so far. We were trying to reach the 10 million mark which I was challenging people that day on GRTS, but we haven't. So far we've only made 9,272,000 out of the 117 million.
And since he also speaks for government and for women, for that matter, how
we're here for the NCC.
Yes. Okay. How far is the campaign? How is the message going around, and how can people get involved?
Well, thank you very much, Lamin Cham, for having us on this platform. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're sitting here right now. That is to spread the message out there for the Gambians to know what exactly is happening, our plans, and of course our constraints, that is raising the $117 million that is needed for Gambia's maiden participation in Cameroon. So this is one of the strategies we are using. We are just from another media house this morning, and before the end of next week we would definitely go around to a whole lot of, at least to cover all of the TV stations in the country and cover at least half of the radio stations in the country. And of course in the print media, as you can see, you can now see the adverts of the
he's putting out the adverts.
Exactly, you are Lamin Cham, so you know, and other newspapers. Yeah. And I'm sure by Monday we would see a whole lot of report focused on the national team. That is Tom Sanford's the 40 exactly selection he has done, and other activities surrounding the road to AFCON, Gambia's maiden participation to the African Cup of Nations. And then coming back to what are we doing to be able to raise the money. We continue with the efforts. Like he said, we have raised some amount of money through telethons, and that's not the last telethon. Hopefully, by the end of next week, we will do several other telethons where we will be able to raise money. But it doesn't stop there. People can walk into the National Sports Council Secretariat at the Independence Stadium just to donate any amount that you have, that you wish to donate to the NCC to, of course, contribute to Gambia's maiden participation to the African Cup of Nations. You can do that. Walk into the National Sports Council Secretariat at the Independence Stadium. Do your you can give whatever amount you want to present, and then you will be provided with a receipt. You can also walk into any trust bank branch in the country and just say, I am here to donate this certain amount to the NCC. Then they have the numbers. They would help you to make that deposit. I understand there is also an account now open at the Eco Bank. You can do the same thing there. Exactly. You can also call 2888. By calling 2888, you have already donated. Just that's $5. You can do that. If you intend to donate $100, it might not be, let's say, easy for you to walk all the way to the National Sports Council or to any trust bank account. But it's easier when you just take your phone and then dial 2888. That's $5. Every call is $5. So depending how much you want to donate,
how many subscribers do you have? That's a business secret. No.
1.6.
I mean,
1.6. You know, subscribers. If each of them take a call and call 288, that's 5 times 1.6. How much is that?
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
At the end of it, we have a very simple way of.
Exactly. That 2888.
10 times a day. And 1.6 million Gambians.
That's $50.
That's $50.
Yeah.
And to help you with the
10 times a day.
Yeah. And to help you with the math.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying that science students like us, I mean, if you do that 5 times a day,
yes,
or 10 times a day, that's $50. 2.4 million people, or 1.6.
Let's just say 1 million, because we don't think all.
A million.
Just a million.
Let's say if a million people do that 10 times a day, how much is that?
No. That would give you 50 million.
That's 50 million.
Yeah.
So
all that we're asking
out of the because I just took a million
for the million or our subscribers only, we are fine. We should be fine.
Yes.
Yeah, but the problem is
we do that at least every day. Even if we don't do 10 times, but at least twice every day from now against December the 20th, we're fine.
No, this 50, this 10 times we're talking about is just one day.
1 day. 50
they have 1.6. Take 1 million.
All right.
Okay, one person does this 10 times a day.
Yeah.
Just one day.
Just
That's 50 times 1 million.
1 million.
That's 50 million.
50 million a day.
Yeah. That's one day.
At the end of the day, we can get more than that.
You know, so if
we have a magic solution in our hands.
But I mean, why is it not being
done?
That's
the magic solution, like Lamin said. You can just.
So I think what we should now.
And here you are drumming it.
Yes.
We're drumming it. He's drumming it. He's drumming it. He's going to drum it.
And
it's all over the world.
We're buying it. Tijan Jaiteh, international. Anybody who sees will know that yes, you have been there. You are a sports ambassador. How do you? Let me first ask you. How do you feel? You've been playing for the team. Obviously, have an ambition to go to the AFCON. It never happened. But how do you feel now that the Gambia has gone to the Cup of Nations first?
Thank you, Lamin. I'm very, very proud and honored to see that Gambia have qualified for the first time to the African Cup of Nations. Yeah. So I've been in the national team for many years. Yes. We tried many times, but I can proudly say that now I feel really proud to see the boys how they play every time when they are playing. Especially how now the team have lot of international players who are playing in the top leagues. You understand? And this gives me a lot of joy. Even when I'm watching them play their test games or playing matches, I watch with my family, and all of them they see how I'm happy to see the boys, how they are playing, because now they are playing like Europeans. So I'm urging every Gambian to support the team, to support this cause. This for Gambia, and if we support the team, we support ourselves. So all what everybody have spoken here is just the benefit of the Gambia and the team. If the team do well, the Gambia succeed.
When you were there, even at the under-17 and under-10, there was a lot of national cohesion, national solidarity with you people when you were at the general level up to the national level. How would you want the Gambians to be involved with this one? Because this is the biggest, actually.
I think now the national
coordinating
committee now, this is a very good time. After the election, I think the election will give me a lot of.
Thank you, Tijan.
We are coming there.
Yes, exactly.
The election actually.
Yes, it was disturbing your work, So, but I think now, you will have more people who are going to concentrate on the national team and want to support. I believe that Gambians, they love the national team, and they will come out to support it.
Okay, Musa, if people hear about this 1.17 million, well, 117 million, they want to know how much of it do you intend to put into, well, the layman in the street? Are they going to take people to Cameroon, etc., etc.? How much are you going to, how do you talk about training camp or another overseas training camp, you talk about the farewell presentation of a flag by the president, and maybe one would have suggested the president himself should do a formal, I know he was busy at the time this NCC was launched, but could you go back to him and let him do a big national formal fundraising drive where he himself will say, well, now is the fundraising time. Do you have that in mind?
I don't know. I mean, we have our plans. Whether it's going to fit his plans, we don't know. I wish I was in his head, and I wish I could reach out to him right now. He's now airborne to Nigeria, and hopefully when he comes back, we need to engage him. We'll be engaging him. We have plans. I mean, that is, in line with, your thinking, but we would have to wait until he comes back, to see how best. That's going to be the major, the mother of all fundraising activities we intend to do, because the elections really were a distraction. But we have to move on as a people, as a country. The campaign is ours. You ask about the demarcation, the funds, how, Cham, if you look at what we're dealing with, the amount of money we're asking for is not even much, but by Gambian standard, I'm sorry, it's a whooping amount of money. Yep. Compared to our neighbors in Senegal, for example, we have to make an immediate comparison, because they are just us and we are them. They are talking about a $450 million, and we're talking about dollars. They are talking about 5 billion CFA franc,
which is about
$450 million to $500 million.
They are bigger.
There you go. But anyhow, that's what I'm saying. And we are talking about 117, 120. They don't have the problems we're faced with. They don't. They are good. They're fine. But for us, we're talking about transporting fans. Sadibou will tell you. You have to take care of them, house them, feed them, transport them. We're talking about the huge allowance of the players as they progress into this tournament. The further you go, the more expensive your budget becomes. You're talking about comforting these players. Now we're used to, flying through chartered chartered flights, because for your comfort and of course the team, to get the best out of them for their productivity, they have to be comfortable. This has been the new norm, and all these things cost money. So can you imagine the amount of money we're talking about? Oh, it's just $2 million to $2.5 million. Yes, I don't have it, but I believe Sadibou. We as a people have it, and we can put it on the table, Cham.
Sadibou, can we go to borrow? Do the Rhodesis have mandate to borrow government guarantees? I'm sure there are institutional banks who can do it. I'm not saying that people must not contribute, but in the case where we have got to a point where we are short of the amount we desire. Is there a way?
That's a plan B, and I've said this time and again. Plan B distracts us from plan A. We've done the math here. If 1 million subscribers takes $5 10 times, that's 50 million. Imagine we do that for a good number of days. It's possible. We should be nationalists, because if we start thinking of borrowing, the NCC is not it's an ad hoc committee. That was why even opening of the account gave us a lot of time, because there are certain documents and certain procedures that need to be in place. So the NCC is not a position to get a collateral to go and borrow money. What are we going to use as a collateral? No bank would give you that money. Of course, you'll get value for money, but this is why we're asking even the institutions. Some of them is not just to come and give us money and turn your back. It's a partnership. We'll take your name because you're going to advertise. What is bigger than advertising your company and taking them to AFCON? So the NCC can raise this money. It's just that the institutions are not forthcoming. The government, not the government agencies, the private businesses. This is possible. As you said, exactly. As you said earlier on, Tijan said it here, that, the attention was shifted to the other side. And now even the likes of Tijan, who are sports ambassadors, they have followers. We are urging all of them to come out and urge their people to say, listen, we know you've been following people like me. I'm a legend. I've played, up to that level. Can you help donate to the NCC? Because this is possible. Musa said Senegal is 450 million. They're a bigger nation, but they're playing the same pitch we're going to play. They're going to fill in 11 players like we are. When Senegal went to the World Cup the first time, that's where most of their players got sold. This is an opportunity for us to help our brothers to get sold so that they can expose the other talents that are here. So let us not look at it as just the national team is going to play. No. Imagine how many players could get bigger contracts to play in the...
It's a huge investment.
The Gambia is in a position where we do not have scouts coming here as often as we would want. And this is an opportunity for them to showcase their talent, so people can make the difference between Zambia and Gambia. Sometimes you travel, you're like, I'm coming from Gambia. They're like, Zambia, but then people can see the flags. So the NCC is doing everything possible to raise these funds. And out of 117 million, like Musa said, 2.5 million with dollars. We've only been able to raise about $10,000 or $11,000. So, I think we should be able to, and as Musa said earlier on, we are trying to take funds. We do not want our players going there to score a goal and then you want to celebrate, you do not have funds. When we went to Cameroon, I was privileged to have gone to Cameroon as one of the fact-finding team. We realized that Douala alone has tons of Malians. They live there, because of the Francophonie.
Yeah, of course, and Senegalese.
Exactly. So all those people are there. The Tunisians had already secured their hotels. We were only able to secure one hotel. We were thinking of even cutting the numbers because we do not have the funds. So if people are forthcoming and we need 117 million, we get 300 million. We could say, okay, we needed 117. Now we've got 300 million. We can take
more and more people and more and more.
So it is possible, Mr. Cham.
Lamin, just to add on to what Sadibou was saying, I think the bottom line here is we should take ownership. Let us not say this as the business of the GFF or the business of the Ministry of Youth and Sports or National Sports or even us sitting here. It's our business. This is the business of the Gambia. Like I keep saying, this represents the team participating in the African Cup of Nations. Like, give the Gambia a publicity that Gambia cannot get anywhere else. We all saw what happened when the Tijan and Jaiteh team, when they were in the under-17, what they did. That was when so many people recognized the Gambia in Peru. So the same, and like you in your introduction, when you were introducing Tijan, you did mention that this is a bigger tournament. That was the under 17. This is national team we are talking about here. So the representation is high. So let's take ownership of the country's participation in this. Let's say that these are our own brothers representing us on the pitch, and it is an investment. The return would come, and the return is our players getting more exposed, and this take them to bigger leagues. They sign better contracts, and this will attract the bigger agents, the most influential agents, to come to Gambia to scout for players. So this is an opportunity to expose or to uplift Gambian football where it is. So let's all contribute. It's more than the participation. It's more than Gambia's maiden participation to the African Cup of Nations. So let's take ownership of it. Like you said about trying to get into a loan and all that. I don't want us to, like he keeps saying
that last resort, like
option B distract us from option A. And I am totally in agreement with that. Let's concentrate on this. And this is doable. The math we did here was clear. It's like in less than 5 days.
Yes,
if we are committed,
so I'm sending.
Awesome. That's not. You can put it on speaker. 2888.
What will happen? 288, isn't it?
Yes, 2888.
2888. That's the new challenge for all Gambians. 2888, and then you are there.
And I've sent.
Put it on your mic and you'll hear
and my
dear subscriber, you have successfully donated $5 to the Gambian national football team's road to AFCON. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Lamin. Musa, you can do this. This is a new challenge.
I'm going to do it again. Can you ask everybody to do the same?
Yes.
So now,
$5 to the Gambian
Musa, just
national team's road to AFCON. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Lamin just donated $10. There's a GoFundMe, but we will get to let's focus on this now, Lamin, and then we will get to that later.
Every Gambian who is watching me, it's very simple.
If you are home here,
just and you've top up your
AfriCell
line credits. Just take time. Maybe you can take $10 or $20.
Easy.
Just call 288 and call. I've just donated $15 here.
As you sit here.
As I sit here now. Very simple. If 1.5 million subscribers of AfriCell do this every day, according to Sadibou, we'll make ourselves $1 million a day. 50 million a day. And we need only $117 million.
Yeah, but you know,
so we have
Cham,
this magical
it's just simple, but I mean, you know, it's not mandatory. We even have the head of the civil service writing to all departments, and you know, ministries, I mean, to contribute.
Yeah.
And it's not mandatory. So that's also one of the things that we have.
You have the civil service right for people to voluntarily donate.
The
Secretary General and head of the civil service. I can attest to seeing that circular. There is a circular.
What does the law say about that? For example, do you need the consent of?
It's not mandatory.
I was coming to that, Lamin. It's voluntary.
How do we send the message? How does the Secretary General send the message? Through a memo to all government departments or what?
As I said, either who is in the system. This is a circular that's sent. We made an appeal. For the civil service. to also see how best they can contribute. I think this is even at cabinet level, and even the cabinet members are also going to do their own things. But we appeal to the head of the civil service, Noah Toure, and this letter was also sent to all of them. To make sure that at least they contribute. At their own will.
So it's like you don't have to urging people to voluntarily.
It's voluntary.
Allow them to be deducted for a certain amount.
Yes, if you make it mandatory, that's also not the law.
Yeah, the law was inserted. But of course, this is a national matter.
It's voluntary.
So, Tijan, you have a foundation, Tijan Jaiteh Foundation for sports, and you're a goodwill ambassador to sports. Like I'm going to text about you have the new setan. Sankala don't work. One of the ways for me to contribute to the fund mooy mun ngaa oo 288 rek press dial su ko defee nga am $5 boo xam ne dafaa jógee sa compte dem ci NCC so léegi ñi mel ni yéen nga xam ne play ngeen football nit ñi seetaan leen you entertain people lan mooy war a nekk sa kaddu nag su ko waxee nit ñi Gambien si ci mbir
lu ñu wax moo nekk rek comme loo wax ak ñu fi nekk Musa ñoom Sadibou ak système yi naka ay daal lu mu waay fii yëpp comme loolu la ñun ñëpp dañ war a try ñu use suñu influence comme lu ñu wax ci secteur général bi ak ñi nga xam ne ñooñu am na tam ñu leen di toppa so ñu wax ñoom wax leen ne lii pour ndawi Gambia yi la ba pare dina baax pour dëkk bi because tamit xale yi suñ demee pour play football team bi su nekkee ne amuñ fans dafa boring te loolu dina disturb performance bi foofu noonu xam nga so lu ma ñaan Gambian si yëpp moo nekk ne ñu nañ try ñun ñëpp ñu support team bi te xam ne team bi suñ bos la so buñ ko jël rek am nga kenn moomut Gambia bi kenn moomut team bi football bi ñëpp a ko moom te su Gambia bi nii ñëpp a dee dem celebrate am na ñoo xam ne sax dañ di organise seen own kër def fa dara so lu ma ñaan nañ support comme loo wax nii rek easy na nga dial number buñ la boo wax noonu rek nga def li nga xam ne nii loolu léegi-léegi nga jënd crédit boo xam ne nii sax léegi doo si di def dara.
waaw
internet
nga ko téye 5 days balaa moo expire wala.
o ngay read ñu si Angleterre.
Premiership.
waaw.
wallaay
waaw
wax na fi léegi.
waaw
ngay dem ci all those apps ak all those.
exactly
wala ma pour yokk si li nga wax noonu. weekend bi nga dem jënda naka ticket yi video club ñaata la $25
boo demee léegi
da nga dem fekk mu ngi fees
Manchester di play 5:30 xaw
waaw foofu dafa fees
nga dem foofu fooy dafa fees $25
dafa
fees
fees
loolu njëriñul kenn
waaye bi suñu bos la bi suñu bos la comme si suba bi ni ñu ko doon waxee si beneen télé bi nga xam ne foofu lañ nekkoon it's the new challenge ñëw nañ fii tamit beneen challenge génn beneen challenge bi fu mu nekk nii bi jógee Kër Fatou mooy Gambian bu nekk na nga jël sa mobile comme ni Lamin Cham def nii wax na ko $25 credit dafa des si yow bu la neexee sa $5 credit bi xeebaluñ la ko yow na nga ko jël rek nga daal 288 nga déglu dina la wan ne donate nga $5 towards NC naka Gambia seen participation si African Cup of Nations bi te dafa neex bés boobu nga toog jàkkaarloo télé di seetaan nga gis sa flag yi boys yaa ngi sol sa flag yi dëkka ñu nekk di play kon ndam boobu noonu ak bànneex boobu noonu fexeel ba bul ñaakaa bokk si ñi nga xam ne ñoo tax mu am ñoom play dañ béy seen waar ñoom nañ ko si field bi di kickball bi muy dem administrators yi nga xam ne ñoo amee football yi Gambia wala ñi nga xam ne ñoo amee sport si Gambia ñoom tam ñu ngi béy seen waar kon yow it mi nga xam ne yow yaay fan bi dégg la di nga toog di ko waxtaanee di nga kontaan nga taacu nga yuuxu waaye tamit bul xeeb sa $5 si boobu noonu am na fi nga xam ne foofu la moo yóbbu dëkk bi muy suñ participation bi kon bu ko xeeb boobu mooy challenge bi génnee Kër Fatou beneen challenge bi si suba from Sadibou was ku nekk fi nga toog si sa bu sa kampe fexeel ba nga xam ne fu mu nekk dëkk bi ñëpp xam ne Gambia pare na takk na ay bagaasam pour dem fële nga xam ne moom mooy Cameroon pour participer ci African Cup of Nations kon donc vous yi change leen waxtaan bi tegee leen ma waxi PSG Barcelona naka Messi fële tegal leen ma waxi Cristiano Ronaldo ak Man U fële nañ leen waxantoo ñun suñu yos yi te ñooñu ñaan xam ngeen leen yéen a ma leen gën a xam ñu Musa Baro dara kumput leen si toog leen ngeen waxtaanee ñooñu challenge ngeen wax about Scorpion be ngeen di sol lu xaw a demee ne ki ñun lañ sol nii tey parce que xam nañ ne am ngeen ko comme ni ngeen amee seen Manchester United jersey at home so lii moo nekk ñaari challenge bi nga xam ne génn na si weekend bi kon na ko Gambien si yëpp jël ñu doxee noonu te tegee xoolal fu mu nekk ni video club ñun am nañ li ñu doy kon nañ dox si loolu di ñaax ñëpp ñu contribuer
sorry balaa Aïda di lifin rek daaneel rek liy important si loolu nit ñi dañ gën a war a mën a xam fi nga xam ne fa lañ mën a jaaree pour yokka li nga xam ne mooy National Coordinating Committee bi pour prayer teams yi 288 benn bunta la comme niñ ko waxee rek mun ngaa dem foofu noonu fi nga toog ni ñi ñoo seetaan ñi sax mun nañoo def loolu noonu te loolu lañ bëgg ñu def ñu leen koo ñaan si loolu weesoo mun ngaa dem 288 comme ni nga ko gis ngeen ko dem di ngeen ko gis seen screen yi léegi nii mu si newspapers yi
ko def ci screen bi
yéen a ko gis
ak bank account yëpp
mun ngeen a def loolu dem AfriMoney ngeen déposit loolu mu ngeen a dem déposit lu leen neex di ngeen am firndeel bu wér ne li ngeen ko joxee pour national team bi Ecobank ak Trust Bank account yi ñu ngi leen ubbi mun ngeen a waaw si biir banque soo yu noonu fu ne si réew mi
soo demee nga ne NCC account
soo waxee ne NCC ñu ne la da ngaa donate because léegi di nga dem si banque si duñ xam waaye soo laajtee nga ne lii dañoo donné pour national team bi nañ la ubbil account bi
soo amul account bi sax soo fa demee
soo laajtee yaakaar nañ ne ko jox ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekkee bitim réew GoFundMe account bi is online ñu ngi target pour raise $150,000 from outside on la waaye léegi waaw $143 rek lañ raise agum because it's there for everybody to see so waaye lii la ñoo ñaax nit ñi képp a ko mën a doon union yi association yi kafo yi gox yi fuñ mën di nekk comme ni ko Aïda waxee rek bokkaleen loo leen am rek indi ko foo leen mën a dem pour joxe ko rek ñu ngi koo rafetlu dala si sax xeebuñ ko képp ak koo xam ne yaa ngi si réew mi di dégg bu ne dégguma lii gisuma lii wala yëguma lii
xëy na mun naa am ngeen xalaat pour dem too ci région si yëpp because xëy na nitaa ngi toog fale moom mu ngi toog ci xaalis bu bare ci seen VDC wala seen community district kii yi xamuñ naka lañ koo def waaye soo leen demee too wax leen ne ok
xalaat nañ affaire yi too bi waaye gis nga fu mu nekk nii NCC bi suñ focus bi yëpp mooy naka la ñoo amee xaalis rather than nu ñoo spendee xaalis
because too spend la bokk
yow amanguloo lu doy ngay spend xaalis so moo tax lu ñu def mooy non there's a mechanism in place lu ñu def mooy we've asked the honorable minister because too bi planoon nañ ko initially sax dañ planoon ne dañoo dem nationwide too ak Scorpion si waaye loolu yëpp xëjut si da ngay plan God disposes waaye lu ñu def mooy dañ ne dinañ make sure ne region bu nekk governor bu nekk sa office dinañ communicate yow directive has been given the other day si meeting bi ne ñu communicate ak ñoom ñëpp ñu seet naka la gaay di ak area council si waaw wax nañ loolu ak area council si ñu ne dinañ wax ak ku nekk nga xam ne area council bu nekk di nga organise some sort of programme boo xam ne di nga mun a raise so ñoom tamit seen competition la ku mun a raise lu ëppa ñu xam ne loolu la so da nga gis ne area bu nekk mun ngaa raise li ngaa raise comme li Musa di wax am na programme boo xam ne loolu la ñoo jéem a tooga nii ñorangut xëy na kuy ñëw foofu noonu di nga indi li nga am pour wane ne area council nangam lii la raise area council nangam lii la raise waaye soo raisee team fii nii ne la ne nañ dem si dex gi da ngaa xaaya moto fii def fa speaker ak yooyu noonu waaye area council bu nekk mun ngaa try pour nga raise li nga am nga xam ne dina ñëw ba pare am na ñu doon jox ay dene nañ def caravane dem we have an accountability framework in place because of lii alali dëkk bi yëpp la bugguloo ñuy yooni beneen because am na time yu ñu daan wax ne sax am na group of nit yu ñëw fii ak kayit ne dañ seek donation NCC bi yooni wut kenn ak kayit boo xam ne da nga see sign moo tax ñun ñu joxe account numbers because lu ñu bëgg a mooy an accountability framework lañ put in place alali dëkk bi la kuy joxe nga dugal ko si account waaye dugal ko si Afri Money bi wala through the Africell yaa ngi am sa record su ñëwee bés ne lii lañ am ku nekk tayloob sa record ñu ne ñii lii lañu am lii lañu
dafa record
waaw waaye di def groupe wala ñu ne caravane ñuy dem because am na ñu ko doon proposal appreciate nañ ko xam nañ ne seen idea mooy ne pour ñu try pour raise xaalis waaye def caravane dem di collecte fii collecte fële at the end of the day yëfi xaalis la bugguñ wax bu leneen moo tax ñuy bugg a xaalis yi di dugal si account wala nga joxee chèque boo xam ne straight dañ ko dem dugal si account bi at the end of the day su programme bi jeexee tamit dinañ wax ne de buñ doon try pour raise xaalis lii lañ am te nii lañ ko dugalee parce que yaa ngi doon laajte ne naka la ñoo spendee xaalis bi place yi seen bonus rek xaalis la because of yeneen dëkk yi appearance fii bokkut ak match bonus bokkut ak qualification bonus to yeneen level because of play yi ñun ñoo gën a am si lu gën a néew si alawaan si sub-Saharan Africa parce que naari boolewu ma leen si now allowance yi comme lu ñoo am every day su ñëw place yi foog ñu jox leen dara suñu winee des a match bonus boo xam ne soo droyee lii ngay am te loolu yëpp pour encourage leen di nga gis ne nit a ngi gaañu sax waaye xam na ne lii la play duñ ko dee use mostly sax seen parents yi lañ ko dee jox fii man xam naa place yoo xam ne ñu bari suñ tukkee dañ la dee ne suma yaay dina jël si xaalis bi suma papa dina jël si wala groupe nangam dinañ ko gis naa play yu ko def dang Scorpion si ay jàmbaar lañ non yu forex lañ leen dee fay waaye dañ la dee ne suma yaay dañ dee sign undertaking pour seen gars yi jël si ko so loolu foog ñu am loo xam ne moo leen a motivé ne soo leen qualifié passé groupe bii nii dinañ leen jox lii pour ngeen dem si round of 16 bi so loolu yëpp looloo tax ñuy try pour raise because government rek mënu koo def over the years government spent na over $150 million together with the federation because of higher plane allowances stay si hotel ak yooyu noonu bëggu ñoo dem di dem play yi ngay am that inferiority complex ne ñii ñu ngi dëkk fii man dëkkuma fi ñii ñu ngi am lii man aw ma ko
Tijan moo ci xam dara
xam nga
Tijan xam nga ci dara
understand nga so yaa ngi gis loolu kem Morocco ñu ngi leen a offer ne $32,000 each suñu eggee si semi si FIFA Arab World Cup bi ñun amuñ doole boobu noonu waaye at least ñu try loo xam ne dinañ mun a satisfy suñu boy yi because of li ñoo wax ne Sénégal is a bigger nation but 11 players la ñoo play 11 la ñoo play te ñun demuñ xool buti kenn bu ñoo dem si qualifiers yi we were the least ranked country we turned out to be the winners of the group so it is possible
léegi nag coach bi nekku fi waaye ñun ñëpp gis nañ liste professionnel liste bi mu ñëwee léegi dama bëgg a seen xalaat ci mi because ñu bari na waaw foofu loolu beneen problème la because nit ñi dañu ne ok dinañ jàpp squad bi dinañ ko de waaye ooyut kii mu ngi play top level kii mu ngi score moom ne ko fi nag Tijan gis nga liste bi 40 players gis nga ko léegi rek la nañ sa xalaat because il faut mu wàññi ko fa 28 ndax am na fa liggéey de
waaw ay foog naa ne coach bi moom right now moom mu ngi nakataat yi xam nga fo 40 bi mooy ñum daanaagum pour mu xool si biir 40
waaye 28 bi ci lay bokk ci lay génn
moo jéena si 28 bi mooy final
su façon yooyu xewee te yow yaa ngi fa ci 40 naka nga dee fiile
depuis comfortable waaye am na ñoo xam ne moom ñoom dañ dee xam ne alhamdulilah dañ fa
dem
nekk because of seen performance ak fu gaay di play
ñooñu ñan la ci yow mënu naa wax kenn de mënu naa wax kenn ñaar waa ñett non bëgguma faral kenn
so gaay moom wax dëgg yàlla xam naa ne incha allah dina jël very formidable team boo xam ne mooy represent Gambia di final 28 bi wax
ay Mr Cham dama bëgg a aat foofu noonu gis nga professional list bi sax waaw 40 bi léegi daf dee change sax 40 boobu because lu xew léegi ñu ngi am covid
waaw loolu
da nga dee dem ba digga ñu am covid si team boobu noonu nekkul ne su fekkee ne si 40 boobu noonu yaa ngi fa am 5 left back ñaar gaañu ñaar am covid kenn am deneen texa so which means ne si 40 boobu amuloo left back foog nga dem uti beneen left back so am na ñooy replace so moo tax ñu tuddee ko provisional list
waaw mooy provisional
because of loolu CAF sax lu ñu dee request mooy ne nga def provisional list nga seen ko si CMS si CAF bi pour wane ne lii yaa ngum la pour ñu xam ne waaw di nga participer because of comme ni nga wax ne mun ngaa néem ñetta yooyu mun nga na laa néem yàlla traité ko ñu gaañu wala mu am covid kooku demagul so untouchable amut fa
loolooy problème yi léegi nag affaire covid bi because maa ngi dégg ne sax am na ko doon wax ne c'est technical director CAF bu mu doon give up seet ndax ñaari xel ndax tournament bi dina am although CAF ñu ne ñoom àgg nañ ba pare ñu ci ground bi loolu nag waaw naka ngeen dundee xibaar boobu bi ñu ko dégg as organising
no really tournament bi su fekkee ne CAF ñu organise CAF wala FIFA suñu organisé dina dox xamuñ naka la ñoo def because gis nañ World Cup bi
that's right
understand nga gis nañ olympique bi nit yi coow nañ lu nekk Japan ne le waaye eventually it went ahead
wow
dinañ find a mechanism because there are mechanisms because people have to learn to live with this COVID there are new variants coming day in day out xam nga so su fekkee ne keroog maa ngi ri Theresa May mu ngi wax ne su fekkee ne Boris Johnson dafa bëgg a stop economy anytime there's a new variant which means understand nga dëgg bi du dox because COVID bi dafa stay
wallahi
so ñun lu ñoo xalaat léegi mooy how do we develop how naka la ñoo mun a learn to stay ak lii CAF lifin bi dina dem di nga am ñeneen ñu la wax naan tournament bi sax dañ ko yóbbu Doha ak yooyu noonu naka nga yóbboo AFCON Doha yaa ngi am countries like Egypt yaa ngi am countries like South Africa yu dëkk Morocco ñoo xam ne mun nañ koo host nga koo jël yóbbu ko AFCON bi dafa xew Morocco te dina xew soo gisee CAF ñu joxaat an extra 5 because 23 man squad lañ la wax waaye they looked at the COVID situation ñu ne maire dañ ne ku nekka an extra 5 boo xam ne mun nga koo isi in case nga am issues boobu noonu moo tax ngay gis ne sax even changes bi ñu la dee jox up to 5 so loolu yëpp provisions yoo xam ne def nañ ko pour mun ñoo dimbali waaw technical issue nag nekkul loo xam ne ñun dañ koo wax ñun Baye Fall yoo xam ne lañ naka la ñoo amee xaalis
moo ñu tax koppar gi daal moo ñu tax
waaw ñun koppar gi because léegi-léegi nga dem programme tamit ñu laa naan waaw coach bi dafa war a def li ñu naan la ñun I'm not a technician.
Wow, that's right.
I have my opinion. Ninga amee sa opinion. Waaye man li ma jàmm fu mu nekk nii. 117 million bi.
Waaw moo gën a important.
By next week suñu mënee 50 million dugg na si account bi. Xam nga.
So léegi nga yaa ngi waxoon mbiri last test match fii nii last programme technical preparation for team.
Yeah, I mean, we are the technical committee which Ibufai heads. Linyo Jankontel right now. I mean, Moine. The team will be here the 26th, 27th. And then at least
26th, 27th December.
Yeah, this month we are in
Boxing
December.
Day, a little after Boxing Day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Boxing Day, Christmas.
The whole thing.
We don't know because there are still restrictions in terms of traveling in Europe and so on and so forth. But our plans are to have the players on a chartered flight to Banjul.
And they fly from here to Cameroon.
To Qatar.
Probably for 1 week or
so. That's where the tournament training pre-AFCON training camp is going to take place, where we play Algeria on the 1st of, that's confirmed, I understand, from the chairman of technical committee. Good. We play Algeria on the 1st of January 2022. There is possibly also a second game either against Egypt or Congo or Togo. Either in Dubai.
First week of January. Right?
Yes, before flying into Cameroon on the 7th.
On the
7th of January. Okay. So these are the plan tentatively, because when the team is here, they have to collect the battle flag from the president. And there are
would
other
there be an opportunity for the people to see them?
Yes, exactly. That's more important. That is why we are even hoping and wanting for the committee wants the team to be here, so that they can at least, boost morals and so on.
But you want to get them play a friendly against them?
They will be training. We want
to see friendly. You want to do friendly?
We don't know
Sierra Leone or
perhaps? No, that's not possible, right? Because most of the teams are concentrating on the other things and also preparing. We don't think we can attract a team to come here with the logistics in place and the arrangements in place. These are the things that the logistics committee and the technical committee are dealing with. We are looking for the finance to make sure that it is financeable, but we also, this is history. It's historical. We wanted to give the best and the most fitting of farewells to this team. We want to make sure that the handing over of the battle flag is a memorable one.
Yes.
So these are things.
Did you want them to do that at the State House or Stadium?
Anyhow,
it depends on His Excellency.
No, it depends on His Excellency.
Himself.
Okay, no problem. I will call him.
Please do so.
I will
Please
call
do,
him.
Lamin.
Please.
Okay.
And we are getting you're talking about the promo that we're doing. We believe that if you open the newspapers right now,
yes, everywhere.
You listen to the radios,
you can't
it's all over.
Yeah.
You go on social media, it's all over. You watch around the streets in
billboards,
it's all over.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, we even have the artists we approaching influencers like the Tijan Jaiteh, the artists.
Yeah,
just
the
to
legends.
Voice.
How much involved are the legends?
Axie was with us the last time, and then there is no bigger legend than Axie at the moment in the country. Has done everything.
Yeah, but the younger generation.
Yeah, but we're coming. We're coming.
The younger generation would like to.
We're coming, of course. Tijan is one of the
youngest. He's an ambassador, so.
He's an ambassador. We are going to in our telethons and these appearances, we're going to drag all these people in to appeal to the general public. The Sendurs are here. They have other projects. You talked about the drivers' union.
Yes, the drivers' union. Sise and others. They
wanted to.
Yeah, they wanted.
We're asking them. Let's make an arrangement to do a fitting presentation because that's what we want. This is about us. So we're asking all these people. We are recording videos that we want to send viral to make sure that the appeal goes around.
Good. Fantastic. So, gentlemen, Musa Sise, spokesperson for the National Coordination Committee of the AFCON 2022.
Still 2021.
Well, it's still the official is called, well, it's going to be 2022. But the official tag is, of course, that confuses everybody in the Olympics. They keep calling 2020. Wow. Sadibou Kamaso, also a member and a member of GFF Executive. I'm still GFA. Ida from the National Sports Council, and of course our legend Tijan Jaiteh, Sports Goodwill Ambassador for Sports in the Gambia. Thank you all for watching this program this week. Don't forget 2888. You can simply donate money to this campaign. We will be back, of course, maybe next week perhaps, to continue the fundraising drive for Gambia's participation in the Africa Nations Cup in Cameroon next month. Goodbye for now.
Data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302* data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data, it's fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
For all your pastry, bakery and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At Sise Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnels who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Karaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980 8483 340 9400 or 635 9906.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.